Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thank you for stopping by today. I'm assuming you read my title, which is going to be all about some second date ideas. And I have some suggestions that I give clients. I don't know if you're new here. I am a matchmaker and a dating coach here in the Chicago area. So this kind of stuff is the things that I talk about with clients all the time, and only fair that I share it with my other friends. So that's what we're talking about today. If you think that might be interesting, stick around. When I have a feedback call after a date with a client and the person I match them with, and they both decided that they would like to see each other again, I will very often tell them that I don't think it's a great idea that they do an exact repeat of the date that I planned for them. First of all, the dates I'm planning are blind dates, and very similar to meeting someone off of an app where you don't truly know who's going to be showing up just based on some pictures and a quick phone conversation. Unless you've done video chatting, you should be doing video chatting. But you still have to show up and see if there's chemistry. And with the blind dates, there's that extra bump of adrenaline as you walk in going, who is this? I have really no idea if they don't know anything besides what I've chosen to share with them. So besides being excited for a first date, they also have an extra layer of anticipation due to the blind date nature. And so I think repeating that, but without that boost of adrenaline, is always going to lead to something that's not quite as good of a second date as it could have been had they chosen to do something totally different. So that's always my recommendation. Don't try to repeat the first date because it's going to pale in comparison. So over the years, I've come up with some ideas and I've made a list of, depending on the time of year, because I'm here in the Chicago area, so weather can be prohibitive to certain things at different times of year. So I was trying to keep in mind, for the most part, those of us who are experiencing winter, and I have 10 for us here. 10 ideas. If you've got better weather this time of year, that some of the ones that won't work for us will for you, or some you could just keep in mind until we get to some nicer weather in May. We've got some time here. Number one is everybody I screen and talk to and get to know tells me they are looking for somebody with a great sense of humor. A sense of humor is top of the list for so many people. So I think, why not test out your date's sense of humor by going to hear some comedy? Way better than going to a movie to see what parts they're going to laugh at, which can be fun later on in the dating process. I'm usually not a fan of saying do something where you don't have the opportunity to talk. But I think sometimes with live comedy shows, whether it's a comedian or an improv group, they're not that long of a show and you can certainly go out afterwards. I know that I had a comedy date and we ended up grabbing coffee at an all-night Starbucks afterwards and sitting outside talking with some of the comedy as the impetus for our conversation. We ended up talking for like 3 hours. So the date doesn't have to end right after the comedy, but that's a great way to gauge whether this person laughs at the same things you do and or whether they have a sense of humor at all. The follow-up to that would be, if you're going to do something, trying to gauge their sense of fun and willingness to make a fool of themselves, or maybe not, you don't know. Take me to karaoke, I might surprise you after 25 years as a professional singer. But karaoke would be another thing. If you're going to go for a drink, pick a place that has karaoke, which is the activity, not just the drinking and talking part. And that could be fun. So if you are going to go out for a drink, then karaoke might be a fun thing to experience together. Maybe do a duet. Number two brings me back to a date that I planned. There was a gal I had who said, I don't want to do another cocktail date. Can we check out to see if there's anything on Dabble? And I didn't know what Dabble was. But dabble.co, not dabble.com, but just dabble.co. They're in a lot of major cities, but they offer discounts on activities and classes. And I will mention them again for another one of my suggestions. But they ended up doing rock climbing for their date. And they came from work in their work clothes and they changed into something. But Dabble has discounts, so I think basically they ended up getting their shoes and whatever extra costs there were for free included, and there was a discount on the actual activity of rock climbing. So they did rock climbing as their first date, a blind date, and then they went out for a drink afterwards, a quick drink. But I think kind of working as a team and cheering each other on, they both had a really great date, and they ended up seeing each other again, so it worked. Number 3, and I know that coffee is like the lamest date. It just is so overused, and I think because it's very often in the middle of the day and it's not taking anybody away from anything, it feels like a really low commitment way to meet somebody. So I think that's why so many people use it. But I also feel that people just aren't as invested in the person they're meeting when it's a coffee date. So it's never my first choice. I love coffee, and if you like coffee dates, I do them myself, but I don't feel that my best connections are made during the day over coffee. However, if you combine coffee with something else, I think that widens the ability to connect a little bit more. And I like grabbing a cup of coffee. I will plan for people to stop and meet at a coffee shop, get their coffee to go, and then take a walk. Either in an urban setting where you can window shop or comment on things in a window, or take it to a park where you can sit somewhere beautiful and talk in the outdoors. But my very favorite is to take coffee and take your phone as a camera and do some photo taking on your walk. I think it's just, if you're at all into photography, it's a super fun thing to do. It can get sort of competitive, trying to take the better shot of the same thing. It's a fun thing to do if you're just gonna grab coffee and take a walk. Also use your camera as a tool and something to open up the possibilities of getting to know somebody a little bit better. And number 4, speaking of competition, would be doing something that's sport-like or competition-oriented. That could be bowling, that could be darts, that could be pool. There's some places around here that have shuffleboard and ping pong. So if you're gonna go for a drink, maybe pick one of the places that has something like that attached to it, an activity where you can be playful with that competitive nature that you likely have, and it's kind of fun and flirty. Maybe something with an activity where you can have a little competition. That could be fun for a second date. Back to that Dabble CO for number 5. I'm gonna try to keep my numbers straight this time. That Dabble CO has discounts on not only activities, but also on classes. So I also recommend that my clients just take classes of things they're interested in, because what a great way to meet people who have a similar interest. And with Dabble, you're getting really steep discounts on some classes. It's kind of maybe last minute, or classes that haven't filled up. There's some great opportunities. Go look around that site and see if there's anything that you wanted to do. But doing it with a partner can be fun too. So maybe together, before you plan the date, you can both pull up the app and scroll through some of the classes and see if there's something you'd like to do together. I know that a guy I had took a lady that I matched him with, and they went for a cooking class. It wasn't cooking food, but it was like learning kitchen skills. So, learning how to do that without cutting a finger off. So it's nice to know that if they continue on as a couple, they'll have 20 fingers between them. Number 6, while picturing people looking through classes they might like take together, made me think of sitting down together and planning a list of things you might like to do together in the future. I'm thinking of actually my daughter telling me that she said, if you think I'm fun in the winter time, you should see how much fun I will be in the summer if we're still together. And they sat down and she made a list of all the fun things she likes to do in the summer, some great date ideas. So I'm thinking, why not do that on a second date? If things are going well, maybe over coffee, maybe over a drink, but the activity could be, let's plan some cool things that we could do in the future. And that way you're not gonna get stuck having lunch, having dinner, having brunch, going out for a cocktail for your next 4 dates. You can maybe put your heads together and do what I did, think of some fun stuff you could do. Number 7, speaking of learning new things, why don't you teach each other something? Let's say I'm going to teach you how to do calligraphy. I know how to do calligraphy. I'm going to give you a lesson, a beginner lesson in calligraphy, and you can teach me how to change my tire. That's what just came to me. Maybe give me my first guitar lesson. So think about what you have to offer and kind of compare, maybe give each other a couple choices. As you're planning the date, what would you like to learn? Here are a couple of things I'm pretty good at. Tell me a couple of yours and we can do a swap. I teach you, you teach me. Number 8, and this one always leads to great things. Meatballs for lunch at IKEA. If you have an IKEA near you, wandering around IKEA, people watching, picking up a couple things that you just can't pass up even if you didn't think you were in the market for anything, and having their Swedish meatballs for lunch, it's a fun time. It might give you a glimpse into this person's taste should you end up living together at some point in the future. It's just fun. It's an afternoon. You can't make it through that place in an hour, so you can wander around and talk about what you see and who you see, and watch the couples in there trying to navigate the beginning of their relationship as they move in together. That's always entertaining. I love going to IKEA, so it might be a really fun second date. This could be competitive, number 9, but it doesn't have to be. Board games are super fun if you're a game person. I am. I've always got a few games of words with friends going. I like playing Scrabble. You could play Monopoly. I don't know what board games are in your cupboard or your cabinet at home. I know that a lot of coffee shops have board games available. Checkers, you can do chess, whatever. I have a badminton. I have in my site here, I have a backgammon set within view here. But a board game over coffee or with a cocktail. Do it somewhere at a park, on a picnic table if it's nice out. Do it at a coffee shop. Do it in your backyard. Board games can be fun and a good way to know if somebody plays fair or if they're a cheater. Little insight into their personality, I think, from playing a game with them. Are they too competitive? This could be interesting. And number 10 is a picnic. I always think if you're gonna have food, why not tie it in with a beautiful day? If the weather's nice, I love having a picnic. If it's cold weather like it is now, do an indoor picnic. How fun is that? Maybe you make the sandwiches, I'll bring all the other stuff. I'll bring the drinks and the side stuff and some fruit salad. We've had picnics in my dining room before on the floor, before I had a dining room table. When I bought both of my places that I bought, there was always a picnic, just sitting on the floor and hanging out talking, maybe with a bottle of wine, maybe with not wine, whatever you drink, whatever you eat. It's the being on the floor and getting to know somebody, feeling really casual and comfortable, and just getting down on the floor. There's just something about that. Getting out into a park or a beautiful scenery. I am going to mention Frisbee or a yard game, but Frisbee is the last thing I would want to be doing because I suck at it so bad. But it is fun to bring with a paddle ball game or the Frisbee if you're half decent or at least willing to make a fool of yourself. That's fun. And I do have one more as a bonus for you. My bonus, number 11, was one I thought of today, and that was, do you have any home improvement projects you need done? This is me thinking. Maybe a date going to Home Depot and somebody helping you with a home improvement project. I'm not saying painting a whole room, but hey, I wanted to put a cabinet in my garage. I was going to go to Home Depot. Do you want to go with me and help me pick out a cabinet? I could use somebody to hold it up while I drill the holes. Something like that. Or it could be a smaller. I'm going to Home Depot. I thought maybe I was going to look at some of the closet upgrades and add another shelf in my closet. Could you come with? And maybe we could just hang out at my place and do that today. And then if you're willing to do that, I'd be happy to help you with a home improvement project at your place next week. And I also thought of it because Home Depot is a great place to meet men. My daughter used to always say to me, well, the Home Depot by my house is great. You should go hang out there on a Saturday morning. Unfortunately, I'm not a morning person. Well, that's what I had for today. 11 second date ideas for you. Hopefully there were a couple in there that you hadn't thought of yourself. Something fun for you to try when you get to date number 2. There's lots of information about date number 1 in this playlist here, so I'll put a link to it over here right now. And I appreciate you stopping by to see what I wanted to talk about today. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up if you would. Please subscribe so that we can do this again. And until the next time, thank you and have a good one.